Yep, it's probably time for a bit of the old Chin-WAG, a bit of a Montagraph Chatty-DO, CP Chatty-DO. This one here, that's settled in quite nicely in 3 days. I've basically pushed that back to looking the way it looks as they arrive in the shop, sort of thing. They come into the shops looking like that now. The other problem with here is, as I was going to talk about this, is almost within, as I say, overnight, almost a day, they seem to take on and have a loss of look, if you want to put it in there. And I don't know if you can notice this, but that magenta colour that was down there before is now getting to like a red colour. It seems like when it's in a magenta colour, that's when you get the growth. When it goes from magenta to red to dark red, that's when you start to lose your growth, sort of thing. So like these things here have gone to this sort of dark red now, and basically you're not going to get any more growth out of those things. But did you also notice when you first put these into the pots, they seem to almost fatten up. They seem to like plump up. In other words, the pictures seem to like almost grow in size slightly. And some of these things, the rhizomes seem to push, the actual individual leaves of the rhizomes seem to push side bits, splay out, I think is the word I want. So, I don't know, it's not quite in the sun yet here, but if you notice that the traps seem to be slightly bigger in size. Whether that causes a loss in energy as well, I don't know, but we'll see how we go. But what I want to draw your attention to, before we start this little rambling Chatty-Do, is you can see all this green goodness coming through here, down there. And you see all these CP weeds there, nice and green and healthy, and doing quite well. Nice, green, healthy, nice and green and healthy. Now, you got to ask yourself, if you're using perlite, you make the assumption that, look how white it is. There's hardly anything in it. How much iron is there in the... I've always suggested that CP's like a low iron environment. They almost like to be iron starved, and that was where the very dilute, extremely dilute chromium was coming in from the serpentine areas. It was actually making them iron deficient, which was activating their sort of kind of a syndrome to start kicking into action, sort of thing. Draw your attention now. Look at the strawberry. Does it look... what colour is it? It's nice green, isn't it? Is it a nice dark green? Sort of thing. Yeah. But if you notice here, this one here, this weed in here, it's got a sort of, it's got a deficient look there. I suggest to you that's probably, people will say, oh, that's nitrogen drawdown, nitrogen deficiency, but I would suggest to you that it's to do probably manganese deficiency, because it's on the fresh young growth, not on the old, and therefore you can't draw because manganese, basically just go back to basics 101, you have mobile elements and immobile elements in plant physiology, sort of thing, and manganese is one of those that's supposed to be immobile, sort of thing, so therefore it can't be translocated from the old leaves to the new leaves, whereas nitrogen can. So if you had yellowing on the old leaves, but the new leaves being green, you would say it was a nitrogen deficiency, because the nitrogen was being drawn out from the old leaves to the new leaves. Whereas here we've got the discoloration on the new leaves, and also somewhat on the old leaves as well. But look at the veining sort of idea. That was one of the things I tried to draw your attention to earlier on. I said, what is the common factor with all these CP weeds I was throwing up? Have you still seen what the common factor with all these CP weeds and the ones in the wild in Dioneer country and other famous CP locales? Have you noticed the one similar thing between all those CP weeds? Have you seen it? I don't think I should spoil it for you, but are you starting to connect some dots now? What is the common factor with all these CP weeds? Can you see? And all these hard to grow, notoriously, classically hard to grow plants, like horseradish, rhubarb, you know, even different forms of rhubarb. What is the characteristic? Can you see a characteristic connection between there and the CP weeds that grow in the presence of CPs? Okay, well, it's getting down to 7 minutes, maybe. So, my idea next is to go and actually do this again, but add some manganese dioxide to it. But I'll talk more about this in a minute, in the next part 2, I think, okay?